Hello. Today we are talking about HubSpot forms. These are important for capturing information. We all use forms for our marketing, for our lead generation. So knowing how to make the most of your HubSpot forms is really crucial to being effective. So today we're going to dive in on HubSpot forms, the types of HubSpot forms, a couple of best practices around forms in general and setting forms up. And Dana's going to show you some examples of what she talks about. So just as a reminder, we are a HubSpot Platinum partner, and we are experts at all things CRM and marketing automation. We do strategic planning, custom development. We can help you if you want to get started with HubSpot CMS, you want to set up a website, if you want to strategize a marketing plan, we're here for it. And we also do data migration and integration. So when you're working with your HubSpot instance and you acquire another solution that you want to connect with it, you can always come to us to facilitate that integration. My name is Deneen. I'm the marketing director. If you've been on a user group with us before, you know me. And you probably also know Dana at this point, our business analyst. She is our little HubSpot guru here, and she's going to take us through all of this juicy information today. So I will throw the floor over to you, Dana. If anybody has questions, you know what to do. We will be sure to get to those as efficiently as possible.
Thank you, Janine. So like Janine said, today we're going to talk all about forms, kind of what are HubSpot forms. We're going to kind of dive deeper into that. We're going to discuss the different types of forms and what some of the advantages of using HubSpot forms versus third-party external forms. We'll definitely talk about use cases, kind of give you ideas when to use forms. What are some different ideas that, your company could implement within your organization today. Kind of dive into what data you should be capturing within your forms. Are we talking about, what questions you should be asking your visitors, things like that. We'll definitely talk about some best practices. We'll just kind of discuss gated versus ungated contact, kind of talk the difference between the two, and when you should use both. We'll talk through A/B testing. We'll go through a detailed demo for, where to find forms within HubSpot, how to create a form, and just kind of show you the overall how easy it is and how user-friendly user interface kind of looks like within HubSpot as well. And then lastly, Denise will kind of walk through any upcoming TI events or any events in general. So first thing is first, as always, what are HubSpot forms? And in general, forms are used to gather information about your website visitors or your current existing contacts. Forms are, again, different forms of lead capturing. You can be connected, or it can be connected via landing pages or external third-party, form builders as well. You can, being able to capture information about your potential or existing customers plays a huge role within your sales and inbound marketing strategy as well. There are three different main types of forms. We have our progressive forms, pop-up forms, and then our landing pages. So kind of talk through a little bit of what the differences are and when to use each of those. So we have our progressive forms, and that kind of allows you to make your forms a little bit smarter and more efficient. So we have, different standard fields that we all typically see. So your standard fields are maybe your, contact's name, their email address, last name, phone number, things like that. And then you kind of have something called a progressive field. And that actually allows you to replace fields that a user has already filled in from a previous form. So in other words, let's say that I'm a visitor on your website. I go in and, I'm interested. I want to contact one of your sales rep about a specific product. and I fill in my first name, my last name, my email address, and then I add in a comment. And then, the next couple of months, I come back on your website and I want to refill in that form. Instead of HubSpot asking me to refill in that same exact first name, last name, comment, and phone number, it's going to ask me a whole set of new questions just so I can gather more information about that visitor. And that's kind of what that progressive form is. And we'll kind of show you within the demo how to create that and how easy that is using the drag and drop editor. Then we have a pop-up form. And that's just a quick way to create an engaging form that attracts your new leads or existing customers. So that's actually based on a specific criteria that you've already predefined. So for instance, a good place to include a pop-up form is within your blog post page or like your knowledge base article. So let's say if a visitor or an existing contact visits your page for more than 7 seconds, then you would want this pop-up form to appear like need more information, ? Fill out this form. So that's kind of an idea of when to use a pop-up form. And then finally, we have our landing page, and that landing page is just a form directly added on a specific page within your website. So installing this type of form will actually allow you to utilize the A/B and testing tool within HubSpot, which we'll kind of discuss later on right before the demo. So what are the advantages of actually using the HubSpot forms versus an external third-party form? So although you do have the option of using that third-party non-existent HubSpot form, there are some advantages of doing so. So let's say that because it's obviously native to HubSpot, forms allow you to capture data that you can actually use within automatic triggers. And those triggers can, enroll contacts or visitors within workflows, lists, or even send internal, external notifications as well. So for example, let's say that you're using HubSpot form and it will allow you to view the history leading up to when they fill out the form and then after as well. So this is kind of a quick screenshot of that. So I'll say like Michelle submitted this form on this page, the timestamp, and then how many properties were actually updated on my contact record. So actually take you and direct you through that cookie, traffic of when Michelle came, how did she come, and it kind of give you that direct traffic leading up to when she filled out that form on that landing page. Versus if you're using a third-party external on non-HubSpot form, you're just kind of getting this basic information where it's just, hey, she submitted this form on this page, here's a timestamp, and then everything going forward. So you're kind of getting the best of both worlds. You're kind of getting it from a marketing point of view, kind of understanding, how did Michelle even find your website versus, she just found it and this is what happened. So you're kind of getting that without using the HubSpot form, you're kind of using that cookie traffic kind of idea behind that as well. And then let's kind of walk through some use cases. So obviously we have our lead capture. So first of all, I guess the first question is to kind of think about your internal business. What type of information are you looking to capture? Obviously, there are hundreds of different ways to use forms, but these are kind of most typical ways to kind of use forms. Basically what we see. We have our lead capture, and that's simply just to capture information about your potential visitors. This is an automated way to make sure that you're never missing leads. That's critical, especially if you are offline. So this is a great way for you to kind of make sure that you're always, lead capturing in that aspect. Maybe you have some HR forms. So let's say that you have a careers landing page. You can definitely have a form on that. Contact us for, this position. If you're interested in this position, contact us there. Or you can have your full-blown application on there as well. So that's kind of a way for you to kind of eliminate that manual process of somebody having to physically, coming into, your company and actually filling out a pay-per-view as well. You have your order and request form. So whether this is through a customer portal or just on a specific landing page, you're asking you're asking an existing or potential customer to they can actually directly make an order request directly through your website. That could be a type of form as well. Service tickets. So if you have existing customers and they are in need of filling out a service ticket, you can create or contact a customer service rep. That can be in a form as well, and that can be and then that can obviously trigger notifications, workflows, add them to a specific list, etc. And again, that's critical if you are off hours, if you're utilizing this for any off hours as well. And then finally, if you have donations or a fundraiser page, you can have a form on your website that allows your visitors to automatically send you, fill out a donation page, a form, I would like to donate, etc., which then triggers a thank you message or a thank you email as well. So there's different use cases in which you can use a form. Again, there are hundreds of different ways if you can use a form, but this is just some typical ways we kind of see that today. So a good question is to kind of ask yourself is like, what type of data should you be capturing within your forms? What types of questions should I be asking? And obviously this is all depending on what type of data is valuable to you. But first of all, you kind of want to think about how long the forms you are filling in are currently. Think about it. If your form contained about 30, 40 questions, how are you expecting that prospect or customer to return and actually have the time of day to sit there and filling that questions out? So you kind of want to, put yourself in your visitor or your current or existing customer's shoes, kind of understanding, how will I use information gathered? Why would this information benefit my business? Asking yourself these type of, especially these 5 questions kind of help you eliminate any unneeded questions and kind of help you, pinpoint exactly what type of questions you are and what, information is valuable to you. So again, why would I want to use this information? Why this is benefiting my business? How will I use this information gathered? What kind of visitors am I hoping to gain answers from? This is critical. How much information do I realistically need to make an educated decisions about a prospect? This is definitely helpful. Asking the simple first name, last name type of question and adding a whole bunch of phone numbers, is that really qualifying my leads? Or am I just, I just want a whole contact or CRM just full of, first names, last name, and phone numbers. And then lastly, how will I keep my answers up to date and learn new information as it becomes available? So in a nutshell, you should make your questions as easy as possible to answer, right? So again, putting yourself in your visitor's shoes can help you kind of determine what kind of data you should be capturing within your forms as well. And then we have some best practices as well. So first of all, you're going to keep your form short. So shorter forms are most likely to convert. Only ask the most necessary questions. So experts recommend no more than 5 to 7 input fields when you can help it. So again, those 30, 40 question forms, type of forms, kind of eliminate that. Again, putting yourself into your visitor's shoes. Think about how bored you get if you see a long list of questions. You're gonna be like, I'm not filling this in. You're gonna exit out of that page. So again, keep it simple, quick for the visitor to kind of fill out in simple questions, right? Second, kind of stick to a single column. So single column layouts are easy to follow, understand, and complete when submitting those forms. So a study by CXL Institute found participants were able to actually complete a single column form an average of 15.4 seconds than a multi-column form. So that's huge. 15.4 seconds. I mean, that's pretty fast for somebody to fill in that form as quick as possible. Number 3, arrange fields from easiest to hardest. So you get them to commit first, and then you give them, have them answer the hardest questions at the bottom. So again, asking that name, email, phone number, birthday, and then maybe ask them, hey, then continue to tell me what the issue may be, or what can I assist you further, or comments, or again, kind of just get them to commit and kind of have them answer that quickly, and then have them, the hardest question, ask them towards the end. Left line labels. The studies show it's easier and more natural to read when it's from the left line, line labels, excuse me. Number 5, this was kind of surprising, but don't ask for phone numbers. So Tail ran a test and found that 39% of user signups, when they're required to enter a phone number, they feel kind of sketchy. And they actually don't want to, right? So they feel like if must get a phone number, explain why you need it, or make it an optional. Don't make it a requirement. That kind of turns people off, they, they don't want to receive a billion numbers. They don't want their numbers out there. So kind of keep that in mind when you're creating those forms as well. Number 6, address possible concerns with summary boxes. So summary boxes can be added to a form to explain why you need specific information. So if you're asking for the company name and a company address, kind of say company address to help us fulfill blah, blah, blah need. So kind of explain to them why you're collecting this type of data can help, kind of ease their mind and to ensure that you're not being sketchy and kind of creating that, relationship with your visitor. Number 7, to kind of use smart defaults. So if you have a drop down where somebody can select their country, and most of your form submissions are most likely to be from the US, make that selection for them by default. So it's less, so that's one thing they have to click on. So again, make the default by their cookies. That's kind of like the back end of way of doing it, but having that smart defaults that kind of creates a more personalized view for them as well. Number 8, add progress bars to long forms. So if you need a multi-step form for something like an account setup, put a progress bar at the top so the user knows how much they have left. So again, that kind of allows them to kind of get a heads up, allows them to kind of commit to the form saying, hey, it's only a bit longer for longer forms. But again, try to keep it as simple as possible. But if you can't get away from that long form, just kind of allowing them to see that progress bar to see how long they have left, kind of, allows them to commit easier as well. And then finally, we have enabling tabbing. So visitors should be able to use the tab key to move between the fields without having to click each field individually. So think about how annoying that is for you. So being able to just quickly type exactly what the information you need to do and just click tab allows you to go from one field to another. And then obviously the last one is mix up field formats. So not every field should be a text or a drop down. Kind of switch it up, add maybe a checkbox, a radio button, simple yes or no question. Kind of just, make this as quick as possible and easy to follow for your visitors as well. Let's kind of discuss, the difference between gated or ungated content. So first question you should really ask yourself is, are you trying to generate leads or are you trying to increase brand awareness, or what is it that you're trying to kind of do when you're creating your forms? So in general definition kind of point of view, a gated contact is any contact or media hidden behind a lead capture form. Example of that would be your general digital assets, such as your ebooks or white paper. So think about, that's your digital assets. You wouldn't want anybody to have access to that. A benefit of using gated content is to kind of differentiate yourselves from your competition, kind of make sure that you're not having similar content from your competition. And then you're also identifying your actual qualified leads. So, specific users, or sorry, specific visitors should have access to this type of content. Not everybody, should not be a free type of tool. And then you have your ungated content, which allows your visitors to access content without filling in a form or providing personal information. Examples of that should be like your blog posts, knowledge base articles, or videos of some sort. So the benefit of using ungated content would be if you're trying to increase brand awareness. So usually your prospects do not know much about you, right? Nor do they have reason to quite trust you yet. So in other words, they're most likely, or they're less likely to be willing to provide you with any personal information. This is where your ungated content comes in. So you want to build that relationship again. So you want to know a little bit more about you, kind of read more about your blog post, kind of know about your knowledge base article, why you are the expert of you say you are. And then they kind of will, show interest in your product or service that way. So that's kind of the benefit of utilizing ungated content as well. And then before we get on to the demo, again, we kind of mentioned early on, if you are to use the form within a landing page, you're able to utilize the A/B testing feature within HubSpot. So that actually allows you to test 2 different variations of your landing page. For instance, you can do variation A, which shows one version of your form, and then variation B, which shows the second version of your form. And then here's a kind of quick screenshot. I'll show you where to do all of that. But allows you to see this type of review of analytics, right? So you kind of see how many views you receive per page, how many form submissions you received. And then you also will always, once you kind of see this level of analytics, you kind of will determine and allow you to post the better performing page, which indicates that you're posting the better performing form as well. So that's kind of the idea behind that. So let's switch over to HubSpot and just to kind of walk through, where to create forms and how quickly easy it is to do so as well. So just logging into your HubSpot, obviously yours will look a little bit different, but logging into your marketing and then go all the way down to your lead capture. And then you have this button called forms. So you're going to click on your forms. And here you will see a list of all of your forms. You can see a type of forms. You can see a date range where you can, search for a specific form, or you can analyze your forms as well. And this is a great way to view any list of all of your forms, the form type, whether it's regular, pop-up, etc. You can see how many views it indicates, any submissions, and then the conversion rate per form. So this is a great way to kind of see, how valuable your forms really are, and what content you really should be asking for. So if you're asking the same question per form and you're not getting any submissions, kind of ask yourself, what you should be doing differently. So that's the level of kind of data you should be getting. Again, you have your date range. So going back into manage my forms, you can export your forms, or you can create a folder to organize all your forms, and then you can compare your forms as well. Comparing your forms would be comparing your forms, same variations again, but just one form to another to see which one's a better performing one. So let's go ahead and click on create form. And here you'll see about 5 or 6 different, or 5, that's 5, 5 different types of forms that HubSpot will provide you. You have your embedded form. This will just embed this form as part of your website. You have your standalone page. This is literally a standalone page and it's shared through a link. A pop-up box, again, this is that pop-up form that you can utilize based on a predefined condition that you set or criteria. You have a drop-down banner. This will add a form to the top of the screen, on the side, slide in left box, and slide in right box as well. So we're going to go ahead and click on embedded form, and we're going to click on next. Here you will see quite a few actually templates that HubSpot will provide for you. So you can use whether it's a payment level, again, this is kind of where that donation and fundraiser type of form would come in. You have a registration, a contact us, a newsletter sign up, support, that this will actually automatically generate service tickets for you. Ebook download, that's that gated content, event registration, and then more templates will be coming soon. Actually, HubSpot does a really good job of implementing new templates. But again, if none of these are what you're looking for, you can always create a blank template. Then it allows you to start a completely different form from scratch. So let's go ahead and click on the contact us. And then once we click on contacts, and it'll show you a preview here. And then you can click on start at the top right-hand corner. This automatically allows you to take a quick little tour, but you can go ahead and do skip tour. Here, just a little general, here is where you would actually type in the name of your form, and naming convention is actually critical, right? So you would want people to know exactly what this form within the system is, kind of be very specific. So I'll do user group test, just so other people utilizing the demo environment. So again, naming convention is key. You want to use this, especially if you're going to utilize this within the A/B and testing. You kind of want to know the different variations, so you know which one you are testing. On your left-hand side, you would see all the existing properties, and then you have your actually frequently used properties as well. So these are your standard email, first name, last name, message, and you have your typical state, region, mobile phone number, company name. But you can kind of also notice that excuse me. Let's see. You will kind of also notice Uh-oh. Oh, sorry. All right. Sorry about that. All right, there you go. Kind of also notice that you have properties from other objects as well. So you have your company properties that you can include in this, your ticket properties, payment properties, gold properties, etc. Also, you can have, if you have custom objects within the system, you can also utilize those properties as well. For example, a goal is a custom object that I previously built. So if I had, that could be included within the form as well. A great way about that is that all these will be pre-filled in and updated within the CRM system as well, without me ever having to manually enter that data. If you decide, hey, none of these properties that I need within this form are here, you can always come over here and just kind of create a new property and include that here as well. Clicking on create new, this is kind of where you would utilize that drag and drop editor that HubSpot is famous for. So again, this is kind of where how easy it is. You can add checkboxes. You can add that directly through here. You can define which object you want this to go to, label it, etc. Again, this is new type of property. This is, again, if you don't see the property that you're looking for, you can create a form, different form fields as well. And these are the different type of forms, or I'm sorry, different type of properties in which you can create as well. You can add images to your forms. If I can wanted to add, again, drag and drop, I can drag and drop for this as well. I can, change this to, it's very easy to use, very user interface, that's level we can do. And if you scroll down here, this is where we get those progressive fields as well. So if I wanted to change my phone number, I can add that, maybe the company name, I can add that to here. And then actually clicking on each of them will allow me to define the logic here as well. So again, those progressive fields, if I previously filled out this form and I come back, it will require me to fill in a new set of questions versus asking the same set of questions again. You'll notice here that email is actually a required field by default, and that's because this is what HubSpot uses as the unique identifier. So again, if this email, once a visitor comes on your website and this visitor enters in an email that does not exist into the system, it will create a whole new contact in the system. If it exists in the system, it will just update the records, right? So that's why this is required by default. You can make any of the other fields required simply by clicking more and then just clicking make required. This is where you would do so as well. So I feel like instead of, I would definitely make first name, last name required. I would not make phone numbers required, but I would definitely make first name and last name because you don't want a whole bunch of Pauls within your CRM without actual data captured. And then I can easily delete this simply by clicking on that recycling bin again. I can change the color configuration of silent preview. So we'll show you how to do that. So this is kind of where your form options right over here. Then you're going to click on the options tab. And this allows you, if you're going to utilize that payments button, you can collect payments through here. Right here allows you to display a thank you message to say thank you for submitting a form, come again. Or it could take them to a different page as well. You can set a specific life cycle when a contact or a company is created. So we'll just do it by default, which is the lead, but you can definitely change that to marketing qualified lead, sales qualified, opportunity, etc. Send submission notifications to myself, and this is critical. Obviously, you would want this turned on, and you definitely want to receive notifications. So imagine if you're having a whole bunch of forms being submitted with nobody to follow up on. So you definitely would want that checked in. If this is part of a campaign and you want to enroll them into a campaign, you can simply just include that right over here. And then always kind of have any submission. So you would always want to create a contact for a new email address, add a link, etc. Pre-populate field with known values. You would turn this off, obviously, and then turn that back on. But kind of have that opportunity to create and configure your settings here as well. Going into styling preview, this is kind of where that the A/B testing will come in as well. So again, realizing how different these labels are. So do I want, my button to look like that? Do I want the different styles? So do I want a different color of my button? Do I want a different color of my, my field names? So kind of just having that idea to kind of configure this as best as possible. And then I can test email to kind of see how that would look like, how the test and save similarly with my queued progressive fields as well. Those will always be found at the bottom. Definitely freak it out. But just so you have an idea, and you can always preview this within the text desktop view, tablet view, or mobile view as well, just to kind of have an idea of how your form will look like in all forms of views, how your visitor will kind of see that. Again, you can always switch this on if you have a developer on hand and they just want to use this as simple HTML form and completely customize this, they can do so as well. And then finally, we have our new automation tab. This is still kind of in public beta, but we can still have this opportunity to look at this really quick. This actually will allow you to create, this is for licenses Pro and up, so Pro and Enterprise. You have, you can start automated what happens after the form is submitted. You can automatically create a workflow and send an email notification to blah, 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 or create your own simple workflow that way as well. So just create that level of automation. And then once you're completely done, you can click on update, and then you can click on publish. Obviously, you would need kind of a developer to kind of help you implement this with it or embed this within your external website, or you can just copy this code within your HubSpot landing page. So that's pretty much all about forms. Switch over to Deneen.
All right, thanks, Dana. So I will get you the follow-up information to this by tomorrow. Meanwhile, look out for a new user group in October. And prior to that, coming up hard and hot here, 6th through the 9th of September is HubSpot Inbound. We've got a couple of our team members that are going to be there. Some of us are going to be virtual. There's a lot of exciting stuff that's going down there, really cool presenters that they're having. And I know last year I just was feverishly taking notes on everything. So there's a lot of really, really good info to be had at the Inbound event. Definitely recommend. If you have not registered yet, definitely get that on your radar. And I'll include the registration link for that in the follow-up as well, just to make it convenient for you. I just want to thank Dana for putting this presentation together today. And of course, if any questions come up, I don't see any in the queue right now, but if there are any that you think of later, you can reach directly out to Dana or myself, or you can just reply to the email that I send you as a follow-up to this event, and I will direct your question to the right person. Thanks so much, guys. Have a fantastic rest of your day.